Danny is lost in thought until his therapist brings him back to focus. She asks him to talk about the painful reason he's in therapy, and Danny tells the story of how he lost his daughter, Minnie. He had taken her to the park, and for just 1 second he looked away. That was enough time for Minnie to vanish completely. Danny suspected a man named Lyle, who had been watching the kids that day, and got him arrested. But Lyle's lawyer said Lyle wasn't mentally capable and truly couldn't remember what happened or where Minnie was. Years went by, Danny's wife left him and he never got over it. After the therapy session, Danny looks at photos of Minnie and his wife Vivian, then meets his police partner, Nix. They head to a local bank after getting a tip about a robbery. Nix explains that 2 other branches of the same bank were robbed before, and each time only one specific safety deposit box was taken, even though there was money available. At the bank, they join their surveillance team in a truck outside. They spot a man named Delrain, who looks familiar to Danny. He sits by a woman on a bench and mentions it's hot outside. She then starts walking away, repeating his words. Delrain talks to the cops guarding the bank entrance, and they simply let him through. Danny realizes Delrain must have people working with him and rushes in after him. Inside, an employee tries to stop Danny, so Danny secretly takes his keys and pretends he wants to access a safety deposit box. He's led to the vault, and when the employee realizes his keys are missing, he leaves to look for them, giving Danny time to open the exact box that's been targeted before. Inside, Danny finds a photo of Minnie with a handwritten note saying, "Find Lev Delrain." Meanwhile, the woman outside keeps complaining about the heat and starts taking off her clothes, wandering into traffic and causing a multi-car crash that blocks the road. At that moment, Delrain enters the bank and with just one word convinces the receptionist to announce the bank is closed. The corrupt cops burst in and force everyone to flee while the receptionist retrieves the same deposit box. Danny points his gun at her and orders her to stop, but she acts as if she can't even see him. The cops shoot Danny, but he's wearing a bulletproof vest. They escort the receptionist and the box to an armored truck and drive off, but the road is blocked by the woman who still thinks she's overheating. The receptionist swerves to avoid her and crashes, dying instantly. Delrain shows up, takes the box, and puts a bomb in the woman's hand before walking away. Danny arrives just as it explodes, destroying all evidence. Danny sees Delrain fleeing and chases him into an old building. He's startled by a noise, but it's just his fellow detectives. They go up to the roof and find Delrain, but he claims he's not the man they're after. And suddenly, the 2 detectives turn their guns on Danny instead. Delrain brings up Lyle, hinting he knows something about Minnie's disappearance. Danny pulls out the photo to demand answers, and Delrain realizes the box was already empty, just as Nix arrives with backup. Cornered, Delrain tells the detectives to clean up before jumping off the roof to escape. The 2 detectives then shoot each other, and Delrain disappears. Nix tells Danny that only 1 guard survived, and like Lyle, he claims to remember nothing that evening. Danny is reviewing footage when Nix calls to say they've traced the anonymous tipster and gives him an address. There, Danny meets Diana, a psychic working with a large man. The man goes outside to wait by his motorcycle while Danny questions Diana, but she's clearly frightened and asks him to leave. Suddenly, someone approaches the man outside, and he drives his bike straight into the store. Trying to kill Diana and Danny, they dodge just in time, and when the man realizes he's failed, he kills himself with a piece of debris. Fearing for Diana's safety, Danny brings her to the police station, where she finally tells him everything. Delrain, she explains, is a hypnotic, like someone with psychic powers who can control minds. Diana has the same ability. Both once worked for a secret US government program called the Division, which trained people with psychic powers. At first it seemed like they were being helped, but it became clear the government wanted to use them for war and politics. When Danny doubts her, Diana demonstrates by controlling Nix, making him sit, cry, and walk outside for a smoke just by talking to him. She continues, Delrain was the most powerful hypnotic in the program, but he turned against them. The Division tried to stop him, and Diana was one of the agents sent after him, but he got away. Diana quit and went into hiding. When she saw news of robberies where nobody could remember anything, she knew it was him. Outside, Delrain finds Nix and uses his powers on him. Nix storms back into the station, ready to shoot Danny and Diana. He won't listen to reason, so Danny shoots him in the leg. Nix keeps fighting until Danny handcuffs him to the cell bars, but he's still under Delrain's control and keeps struggling violently, hurting himself. Before he can break free, Diana shoots him in the head, saying he would have died anyway and that this was really freeing him. With no way to explain his death, Danny and Diana flee, becoming fugitives on the news. At a diner, Danny admits he now believes Lyle really didn't remember anything, and that Delrain must be behind Minnie's disappearance. A local sheriff walks in and recognizes them, but before he can draw his gun, Diana uses her power to make him radio the station, claiming he saw the fugitives running away, and even pay their bill. As they try to leave, the sheriff gets a radio message from Delrain saying he's coming for them. Outside, Delrain and 2 cops are waiting. Danny tells Diana to run while he distracts them, heading toward train tracks to hide among passing trains. While sneaking around, he suddenly sees the landscape twist and fold, a trick revealed when Delrain and the cops appear behind him and the illusion fades. As the cops go to shoot him, a truck driven by Diana runs them over, and the two escape together. Heading for Mexico, Diana explains that a hypnotic can make someone see anything they want, unless that person has a psychic block. She believes Danny has an unusually strong one, since she's never been able to control him. Delrain, however, seems able to. At the border, a guard tries to stop them, but Diana convinces him to let them pass. They then visit Jeremiah, a former division member with no powers but an extremely strong mental block that only Delrain can break. When they knock, his cleaning lady answers, but Jeremiah grows suspicious and pulls a gun as Danny enters alone. The cleaning lady also pulls a gun. She's actually Diana in disguise, using her powers to hide herself while the real maid hides in a closet. Jeremiah explains that Delrain is searching for Project Domino, a powerful weapon built by the division that can control anyone's mind, even people highly resistant to hypnosis. Delrain had stolen it and hidden it somewhere, then wiped his own memory to protect the secret, leaving only hidden clues in case he ever needed to remember. The division captured him afterward, but 6 weeks ago, something triggered his memory and he escaped. Now he's hunting for more clues, and Jeremiah suspects one is hidden in those bank deposit boxes. When Danny mentions the photo of Minnie he found, Jeremiah asks to see it, and Diana grows suspicious. It turns out Jeremiah is actually Delrain in a psychic disguise, and he opens fire. Danny and Diana flee into a crowded street. Some bystanders turn against them, clearly under Delrain's control, so Danny fires his gun into the air to scatter the crowd. They push through more people, then shoot a motorcyclist's helmet to knock him off his bike and steal it, speeding through town while shoving off anyone trying to stop them. The landscape starts warping again, but Diana reminds Danny it's not real, so he keeps driving, causing a truck to crash into a building that starts collapsing above them. They abandon the bike and run, only to get trapped in a dead-end alley. Delrain arrives with a group of controlled cops and tries to use his powers on them, but Danny remembers what Diana told him about his mental block and concentrates hard, winning a battle of wills that causes the cops to suddenly turn on Delrain instead. As police drag him away, Danny is stunned. He's never had powers before, but he clearly knows how to use them, meaning his memory must have been erased at some point.